2 balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. It's his way back. Walk him off.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome into DodgerHeads presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Scott Geirman, senior writer, Dodger Blue. I'm here with my good buddy Blake, managing editor Blake Williams of Dodger Blue. How we doing, buddy?
Doing better. It's the first time in quite a while that I've actually felt like not sick, because as a lot of our viewers know, I was out a while dealing with some infections. So feeling a lot better now and happy to be back, feeling good.
I missed you, buddy. You missed me?
Sometimes.
Jordan and Pippen, Shaq and Kobe were here. Chat, it's great to see you guys, everybody. The offseason is slow. The award ceremony tonight, I texted you and I was saying, you're watching like something like the Teen Choice Awards here. It's like the Slime Awards, man. Like nothing exciting going on there, but a lot of exciting stuff for the Dodgers. A lot of hardware taken home. Blake, with the pulse of the offseason just kicking off right now, what's standing out to you the most here so far?
Nothing too much. Just been busy with all the award stuff, like you mentioned. That watching that show with all the announcements was kind of brutal to get through. I don't know if anyone else watched it, but not a quality show, not worth your time watching. Just go wait and read our articles after all the winners are out. Much better, much more entertaining. So that was kind of a grind to get through. But other than that, just kind of waiting for the offseason to actually kick up. Like, we know nothing really starts to pick up until the winter meetings actually start and GMs get together and start talking with agents and making deals and all that. So kind of the quiet period right now, just the award season, and it's where we are.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't know if you noticed, but I got a new hat going on here. I got my, where is it at? World Series hat. You see it right here, Blake? Read it and weep. What do you got on?
This is my Life Day hat because, the holiday's coming up on the 17th. So I'm in the spirit.
Well, hopefully everybody out there, if you ordered Dodgers memorabilia, it's all starting to get here. Mine up here right there. That's my big piece. I got a couple more coming here, but they're not projected here till like March, but we'll see. Chat, shout out to you guys. Welcome in to the 400. We'll get you, rolling in. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. We're going to break down and, give Shohei Ohtani, give a bunch of the guys their flowers, taking home a bunch of hardware tonight at the All-MLB Awards. Initially, like a lot of the names that were on there, the usual suspects that we've been hearing about for some time, Mookie Betts, Teoscar Hernandez, Shohei Ohtani, none of this is surprising. They earned these things. They earned these awards, and receiving all MLB honors was incredible stuff for them. We'll kick it off. Who's the first name you want to talk about tonight? I think I want to try to chat about Mookie Betts and Teoscar Hernandez. You all right?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Let's do it. So Mookie Betts and Teoscar Hernandez selected the All-MLB team. Shohei Ohtani as well. Mookie Betts, first team. Shohei Ohtani, first team. Teoscar Hernandez, slots in there at the set with the second team, all Major League Baseball team. Mookie Betts is a 5-time All-MLB team selection. Third year in a row for the first team honors. What'd you love about Mookie Betts this year, man?
I mean, him filling in wherever they needed him this year was probably the most important part for them. I know he missed a lot of time with his injury, and if he didn't miss all that time, we probably would have had a real conversation for who would win MVP between Ohtani and Mookie Betts. And I know if any Mets fans are listening to this, they're going to say, what about Lindor? But no, he wasn't in that conversation until Mookie got hurt. So it was kind of a race between Mookie and Ohtani for most of the year. And with Mookie playing shortstop when they needed him to, and then moving into right field when they needed him to, might have given him the edge in MVP voting if he didn't end up getting hurt. So like, he didn't end up winning like all the awards that he could have, but he still had an amazing season getting first team all MLB out there. I think he only played like 50 games in the outfield. So for him to win that, pretty impressive there. He added on a Silver Slugger award, and just another incredible year for Mookie Betts.
And the stuff I talked about, I was chiming in the other night with Jeff when he was on with Anthony about, Mookie Betts. I believe he finished the year with the 11th highest FWAR in the National League, playing in very limited time for what Mookie Betts has done. Miss a good chunk with the injury there, and still has as impressive of a season as you're going to get out of a star player here, who answered the calls, who answered all the criticism throughout the year, kept battling Got slotted down into the 2 spot. And again, from what we've seen from Marcus Lynn Betts, it's the attitude of do everything, do whatever it takes. He's very nonchalant in some of the stuff, and a lot of people take how willing he is to move around and some of his answers like he could be peeved about some things. But Mookie Betts genuinely will do whatever it takes to win. He's that type of guy that he just wants to win. He wants to play. He wanted to play the infield. They had a need in right field. He kicked out there, and they went on to win a World Series with him and made the roster more dynamic. It opened up for more rotational stuff there and highlighted everybody else. And I think the shift down to the second spot in the lineup is something that we didn't talk about enough. It was that Shohei was on such an incredible run in the leadoff spot and how much versatility and explosiveness he gave right at the top that Mookie Betts just slotted right in there and benefited from it. Because I think, I want you to expand on this. Mookie Betts facing all these opportunities where pitchers and opposing managers would kind of push the action to Mookie Betts. What do you think that did for him, to really, the rest of the year? How do you think how did he benefit from that?
I mean, I think we saw it a few times when teams would intentionally walk Shohei Ohtani and then Mookie would come up and hit a homer or get a big hit for them. And that happened quite a bit throughout just the entire year since they made that switch there. Yep. And it allowed him to drive in more runs, kind of focus on being a run producer instead of trying to get on base and like make things happen on the base paths and try and set the table. So it was huge for him. We kind of saw it in his stats. I think there's a lot of concern, like would Mookie not want to hit out of the leadoff spot because that's where he's hit for most of his career, and maybe a little ego there, but he handled it very well and he stepped up and did exactly what the Dodgers need, and it really gave them the dynamic duo at the top, dynamic trio if you want to throw in Freddie Freeman there, and it allowed them to separate the lefties so you didn't have to have Shohei and Freddie hitting back to back, and I think that helped them a lot with the platoon advantages, so opposing managers couldn't bring in a lefty to face Ohtani and Freeman consecutively. So it was just really beneficial all around for them.
Yeah, no doubt. John, we'll kick off the super chat stuff again, guys. If you want to have any comments, any concerns, any praise for us, we appreciate everybody. John kicks us off with the super chats. That's the best way to get a hold of us here. He says, Scott and Blake, the best show in town. See, Blake, people missed us, man. People missed us.
That's good.
It's good. It's good. We like it.
We
Jeffrey
miss
here.
People.
We miss the people a lot. This is exactly what we do. We are shifting some stuff here. Jeff's got the Sunday nights again, but Thursday nights, man, this is us. This is us. This is where we get to ramble, do a bunch of yapping, and really get into the weeds, provide different perspectives here. Jeffrey says, Mookie with the mic drop at the awards. Mookie can do whatever he wants, man.
I'm pretty sure he's referring to the host asked Mookie what advice would he give to other players who are trying to win World Series awards, because they pointed out everyone else in the crowd had 1 ring and he has 3. So he gave the answer of like, well, you got to wait 7 more years, referring to like the Dodgers are going to win the next 7 and that's their plan there. So it's kind of a funny moment, and I'm pretty sure that's the mic drop we're referring to here. And yeah, Mookie and Ohtani both want to win a lot more in the next 10 years.
Yeah, man. I mean, they've got the recipe to do it. And I think it's, you've got a pulse. I always lean on you for a lot of this and seeing stuff in the clubhouse. You're exceptional at absorbing all the chatter and the narratives and the vibes that, these teams give off in the clubhouse. There's a real sense with this team that they can run it back again. And it's not just because they just won it. There's a real sense that they've got something in-house. They've got this camaraderie here where they feel if they've got the right pieces and they continue to build on that formula, they can do it again.
Yeah, for sure. The core of the team is still around, which is going to be the main thing. You're going to have Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman at the top of your lineup. You're going to have Will Smith behind the plate providing stability. You got Max Muncy in the middle of your order still. Probably going to bring back Teoscar. We have to wait and see on that, but I'd say it's a pretty safe bet that it's going to happen. Then you still have Yamamoto at the top of your rotation, Tyler Glass now, and they're going to add another top of the rotation starter, likely at some point, which we're going to talk about. They still have a really good bullpen, even with Trinan and Hudson being free agents. You got key pieces with Vesia, Kopech, and Phillips. So you have the core of your team that you need to win again. Now it's just kind of building around them, putting in the extra pieces that you need and going from there. And going into this offseason, they're probably in the best spot, again, of any team in baseball. Like if the season started today, they would again be the favorites to win the World Series without adding anything else. So they've built a really sustainable dynasty here, and we're going to see them win a lot more in the next few years.
Absolutely. As I scramble to put my case together for Teoscar Hernandez here, Teoscar made all second team MLB. And this is someone that we're going to talk about a little bit later on in the show. But he set a career high in home runs, led all National League outfielders here, batted 270 with an 839 OPS. And one of the most clutch hitters around the league. And this is something that everybody has taken more note of just because of how pivotal these big spots are, these big at bats, that when it's, players fail on the big stage, I think everything is magnified, of course, on the big stage. But in a guy like Teoscar Hernandez, clutch isn't something that you say he was so clutch, you've got to put him on first team, because there's an exceptional amount of outfielders in Major League Baseball. So I'm not saying force him into the first team, but he's definitely first team all clutch. Someone that when he steps up to the plate, an entire team of superstars with the Dodgers called him out, that he was the guy. He had the pulse. Like he was someone that no matter what, they leaned on him and they trusted in him no matter what. And the moment usually found Teoscar. And I think that with Garrett Cole in that game 5, he left the slider out over the plate in the biggest spot of the entire season. He did what he did all year long. And that's answer the call, hit a breaking ball. Something he did better than almost anybody in Major League Baseball this year was hit stuff that had a lot of spin. And he tied that game. The rest is history. World Series champs. But give some flowers to Teoscar, everybody. Chat, Blake, what else to build on Teoscar taking home all MLB second team?
I mean, yeah, he was phenomenal for the Dodgers all year. He was kind of in somewhat under the radar signing. Like we knew Teoscar was a good player, but he was coming off a down year. And he said it was due to playing in Seattle where he couldn't really see the ball well, pick it up. There was kind of some question of like, how much is that true? Is that really going to get him back on track? But definitely did. He thrived with the Dodgers. He loved playing here. He hit a lot of homers. He drove in a lot of runs. He was pretty much everything they needed him to be. He was kind of up and down. He went on some hot stretches and cold stretches like every player does. I think it was a little more pronounced with him, but even in his cold stretches, it felt like when the moment was big and you needed a hit and he was up, you really felt confident he was going to come through. I think we saw that in the biggest moment in the World Series in Game 5 when he was struggling throughout the World Series, and then he had the double that tied the game there. So, I mean, Teoscar just came through whenever they needed him to. Everyone in the clubhouse loved him. He's a really great person to be around, and he was just a really great fit for the Dodgers.
Yeah, Teoscar was 8th in Major League Baseball among Major League outfielders, qualified ones, with the 134 WRC plus here. As far as FanGraphs offensive value among Major League outfielders, he was 6th. So you can dice it however you want. Thin margins here. Put him in all Major League second team. So well-deserved for a guy who bet on himself here. And someone who I've been vocal about since the beginning of the year, just all caps tweeting into the void about re-sign Teoscar Hernandez. And it's beginning to get to the point, Blake, where I know chat, don't worry. We're not talking about Soto tonight. Don't worry about it. I'm going to tell Blake if it happens, we're just going to skip the segment. We're not getting into it. But Teoscar Hernandez, re-signing with the Dodgers is something that I'm becoming increasingly not impatient for, but something that I really do believe, again, like it has to be at the top of their needs list. It just really does. Not only for the vibe of the clubhouse, but just the spot that he fills with, the lack of Major League outfielders they currently have. With Mookie Betts sliding into second base, I really feel that Teoscar Hernandez, it's a number one priority. I know that you're going to say Soto or whatever, but Mookie Betts moving to second base, you need Teoscar there. It's a number one priority, man. It's got to be.
I think it's up there for the Dodgers for sure. I would say it's probably like an 80 to 90% chance they re-sign him. So I'm pretty confident about that happening, and I think they're going to do whatever they can to make it happen. I don't think they're going to go like crazy, like 4-year, 100 million kind of thing for him. I think they'll try and settle like 3 years with maybe an AAV around 25 million or something like that. So I think that's fair for both sides. I don't think they want to go super long term with him, but I think both sides want him to be back. and I think they're going to find a way to make it happen.
Yeah, definitely. And chat, we saw that. Yeah, it was just we're going to have a whole segment on Ohtani. So don't worry. We changed the banner. Don't sweat it. We're not leaving him off. He's got his own segment here because he's filling up the hardware, sweeping awards here. But we'll go right into him. We'll go right into Shohei Ohtani. Yes, he was on an All-MLB first team for a DH. I don't think it was even an argument. Breaking records, 50-50 club in his first year with the Dodgers. This is all stuff, chat, we've talked about. But Blake, as far as what Ohtani did in his one season where he could just let it loose, as far as his offensive profile, he always showed a side that I don't even think I even knew much about him. I knew he was a fast guy, a good base runner. How much of a runaway was this? Quantify it how you can. How much of a runaway was this as far as DH spot, All-MLB first team, to I think Jordan took the second spot with All-MLB second team. How big of a gap was this? Historic, right?
Yeah, it probably wasn't close at all. There wasn't really a case for anyone else. It was Shohei Ohtani's award. That's why he won multiple awards. We'll go into that segment tying it in here too. So he was first team All-MLB DH. He won the Edgar Martinez Outstanding Designated Hitter Award. He was the 2024 National League Hank Aaron Award winner. He won the Sporting News Player of the Year. He took home a Silver Slugger. He's probably going to win MVP. He won the Player's Choice Award for NL Outstanding Player. Like, he's winning every single award possible, and he's going to keep adding more awards. And it's really no surprise he was the first 50-50 player in history. He drove in a ton of runs. He scored a ton of runs. He stole a ton of bases. He hit a ton of extra base hits. He was just did everything possible you could want from a hitter and more. And he set new expectations for himself and what any hitter can do in baseball. And it was just really impressive all around.
It really showed. This is something that we can look back on in his first year with the Dodgers. First year away from the Angels, a big time chance to win, surrounded by a team to do it, an organization with the tools to make it happen. And he put himself in a league of his own while stacking his first World Series championship. But I also want to give some credit to him for being the all-time home run leader by an Asian-born player when he slugged his 219th homer, passing Sin-Soo Choo. And then earlier in the year, he passed Hideki Matsui. A lot of big names here, man. I mean, he's just doing stuff that we're going to continue to say, wow. And it's not even close to being over with from what we've seen him, because now he's going to be pitching. I know the timeline's pushed back with the shoulder injury. So we'll see where he's at there. But I feel like this can be a good transition to our next segment. I believe everybody should just stay tuned with what he's going to be able to do pitching wise, because he's very regimented. He'll be on top of his rehab, and he's in an organization where second to none as far as preparing players, to reach the mound again, get back to peak performance. So I'm excited. Congratulations to Shohei Ohtani. Chat, again, hats off to him. Do us all a favor. Dodger Blue, Blake, myself included. Like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. If you're listening on the VOD tomorrow after the show, do us a favor, leave a comment. Leave a comment right now. Let us know. Did Shohei Ohtani surpass expectations for you? Like, did you believe that he could do this much? Yeah, man, I really didn't. I knew he was good. I didn't know he was, has 50 plus steals good, but it's something we might not see again with him. Correct?
I mean, it's hard to set expectations for Ohtani. Like, I didn't think he'd get a 50-50 season. I don't think anyone really thought that would end up happening. And of course, he went out and did it. Not just doing that, but he kind of blew past it and was talking 55-55, 60-60 as potential options there. So as unlikely as I think it is that he gets to a 50-50 season again, like, you can't totally rule it out. It's just everything he does is so impressive. He's always setting new records, reaching new heights, doing things no one's ever done before. So yeah, it's going to take a long time for us to truly understand what he's done and compare it to other players. And it's just incredible what he's doing.
Yeah. Wins the Edgar Martinez Award, Hank Aaron Award, first team All-MLB. He is going to win an MVP. And just like this comment here, This is a great one. It'll take decades for us to truly understand and appreciate the magnitude of his accomplishments. I knew he was good. Like I said, I didn't know how like that he would be able to be doing this good. And I think that's something that we're just going to sit back and say, this contract was a damn bargain. It already is a bargain.
Yeah. Before they signed him, I called him the best player ever pretty much every time we talked about like why the Dodgers need to go get him. And I still think it blew past my expectations for how good he is. Like it's just
Real quick. So
crazy.
yeah, real quick before, I'm sure a lot of people haven't even thought about this in a little bit of time. I know that the timeline for him reaching the mound is going to be pushed back a bit, but for Ohtani, in a way, is this, if the Dodgers are able to weather the storm of, without him being there, if they were able to have production, which I have all confidence in the world that the front office and, the coaching staff will be able to put adequate starting pitching options out there that aren't Shohei Ohtani to bridge the gap. Is it kind of I'm not going to say a blessing in disguise, but is it an okay scenario that his window of a rehab season is possibly going to extend into a postseason run?
His rehab, I don't think
Oh
it's
no,
gonna
like
take,
his rehab
like,
season, like his first season back from, Tommy John, like that back end is going to extend into the postseason.
I'm not too concerned about anything like extra besides the normal concern I'd have about a player coming off another elbow surgery. I I think the like delay in his season per se is a little overblown because we're talking about a delay from not pitching in Japan when they're going to be there in the middle of March as
Yeah.
opposed to opening day starting in April or late March or whatever it is this year. Forget the exact date, but if he like the timeline is being pushed back a few weeks as opposed to like a few months, which I don't think it's a huge deal. It's probably beneficial for him and the Dodgers because they're already going to want to limit his innings this year. So if you're taking away some innings in March and April and maybe even a few in May, then you just have him stronger down the stretch where I don't think it's really going to be something we should be concerned about too much. He's not going to end up missing multiple months from his left shoulder surgery. It just kind of delayed his throwing program a bit more. So I don't really have any concerns about it. They're going to plug in some other starter. Like you can put Landon Knack there for 2 or 3 weeks and you're going to be fine. Probably won't even be Knack. It's probably going to be like May or Gonsolin, just how the rotation's going to end up shaping out. So you're still in a good spot regardless. And then you're going to add him back into the rotation and you're going to be in a really good spot.
Yeah. Common sense. I see this right here. I don't think we know anything. We won't know any of it. They've got their own spot that they feel comfortable with. You know, every case is individual. Not every rehab is the same. With pitchers, to his question about pitchers coming back from a second Tommy John, I don't know. Bueller is a case where I don't think we can adequately comp that. But Blake, if you have anybody you're pulling up, I see you looking for something. I don't think it'd be any different from a guy coming off a first Tommy John there. I don't think they would softball that or baby gloves it any different than they have somebody coming off their first Tommy John, right?
Well, to be fair, they never confirmed his second surgery was Tommy John. They've only said elbow surgery, and
Yeah.
Shohei said he wasn't sure the specifics of it, and the Dodgers never answered what it was. So probably Tommy John, but we're not entirely sure. It's more of a guess at this point. If it is a second Tommy John, I'm still going to have like the same concerns that I had with Bueller coming back. Like it's pretty rare that pitchers come back from a second Tommy John and are effective. I think like Nathan Eovaldi is pretty much the only one that comes to mind for me. And it took him a little bit to get back on track. I think his first year back, he was still pretty limited in innings, and it took him quite a while to get back to form where he was pitching 180 plus innings. So that is still a concern. I guess my hope with Ohtani is that he's such an outlier and unicorn in everything that he does. He might break that trend a little bit, but still a pretty short list of players who have come back from a second Tommy John and been effective quickly or effective at all. I know Daniel Hudson had a second Tommy John, but he was a reliever when he came back the second time. So there's just a lot that plays into it.
Gabriel says this here. How much better can Ohtani get next season?
I mean, he's going to be pitching probably, so hopefully
Just
adding another
yeah,
ace.
just that value from the yes. That's perfect scenario stuff. But if anything, he's going to be an effective starting pitcher. We're going to see the flashes of the, like Blake said, that ace stuff. But just getting him on the mound provides just an immense amount of value to what Shohei Ohtani can do. Ederico says 60-60. I don't know if we'll ever get anything close to what like he even to himself said he put a lot into it, like a lot into it. Like even the coaching staff, like he went all in. He let it loose, and we got to see it. It was like a reckless abandonment, but it wasn't even that because he was stealing bases at such a high clip. It was just he became so proficient at it. He had such a feel for the game, and that's something like that comment we had earlier. It might take a long time for us to see, even think about how truly incredible this season was for him because it was like first year for Ohtani. We're still riding on that high, and then we got to see the best season we might ever see ever, Blake. So Gabriel, how much better can he get? Offensive profile, I like we'll see some, the same type of stuff from Shohei Ohtani. I'm not saying 50-50, 60-60 stuff, but you're going to see a dynamic power player, someone who can impact the game with his, his base running, his eyes, his bat, everything. As far as pitching, it's just getting him on the mound. Just get him to be the point where he can be effective and then let him develop off that and build off of that. And I echo a little bit of Blake's concerns there because you just don't know. Bullpens are bullpens, but until you face live hitters, and there's a reason why the Dodgers didn't rush him back into it. There's just no need. Absolutely no need.
There might have been a need in Game 5 if Bueller didn't close it out.
There's no way, right, Blake? There's no way they do that.
It wasn't going to happen, but they were running pretty short on pitchers there, so there might have been a little bit of a need.
Who joked about it? I forgot what the player was that joked about it. That were like, we might have needed Shohei here. I forgot who it was.
Yeah, I don't remember. There's a lot going on.
Did you have a chance to watch Dave Roberts and Mookie Betts on his podcast? Did you have a chance to watch that entire thing?
I got parts of it.
It was incredible. And I just want to say it, chat, before we, move on to the next thing here. Some people saying it was Max Muncy. Thank you for that, chat. If you hadn't, given a chance to take a listen or a watch to Dave Roberts and Mookie Betts have that sit down, when Dave Roberts was walking through the, when he goes out to the mound to Blake Trinan and he says, I just wanted to, put my hands on him, get the feel for it. Like that hit something for me. That, like, knowing what happened and how it all went down. And he said, I'm going to give you like one batter. He gets Stan on one pitch and he leaves him out there. And then Freddie Freeman kind of flicks his glove and says, let him get it. Like, those are the nuances. Those are the things like of the game that, like, I'm telling you, I'm an emotional guy in some sense, but that did something for me. That put me in a spot where I was thinking about that game. Now, Blake, don't smile. I don't call me a dweeb. You're a robot. I know.
I was going to say, I think that's what people have wanted to see from Roberts for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's always been a guy that is fully managed off like the spreadsheet per se, following the analytics to a T. I think that has been overplayed a lot. But this year, for sure, he definitely went more field-based than numbers-based at points. And I do think that was beneficial. As much as I prefer using data and situations and stuff like that specific instance with Trine in there, they didn't really have anyone else who was better for that situation there. You were very limited on options. So I think that's where the point where the analytics and the eye test really came together, and you kind of had to trust your guy, even if the numbers said maybe he shouldn't be in this situation totally, but then you consider your other options and not great either there. So I think Dave Roberts had a great feel throughout the entire postseason and relied more on the gut instinct that a lot of fans have wanted to see for a long time, and it worked out pretty well for him.
Yeah. So, everybody, if you hadn't had a chance to check it out, please do. Again, it falls in line with what I've said. Read everything, watch everything, absorb it all. Special season. So that was just one of those comments from Dave. And I feel like that was, the manager Dave, but also the person Dave, peeling that layer back on talking about that interaction. And it was one of those where you see it and it was like, they're going to get him. He's going to pull him. And to what Mookie asked Dave, he said, in years prior, would you have? Yes, Roy brings this up. Yep. And he says he would have he would have pulled him right there. And I think to what he said, that speaks to it. That speaks to a lot. That speaks to a lot of the growth that he's had. DM, it's not, we're just talking about this in the middle segment here. We're just chatting up about something that was on my mind. There was no Roki talk yet. We haven't gotten into that. I don't know how deep we're going to get into it. There's not much here. There's not much here. I don't think there's any much new stuff going out aside from just a little bit of questions from Jim Bowden here. Richard says we definitely have the pieces to run it back. We'll scream this from the rooftops. Use the Soto money for healthy arms. Get Teo, Kike, and Walker Buehler back. Yeah, Rich. Of all the names there, Blake, who are the ones that are? Don't even bring up Soto. What about Walker Buehler?
You said all the names there.
Aside from Soto.
I mean, I think Teo's coming back for sure. I think Kike's coming back for sure. Kind of a toss-up for me on Buehler. I think they want him back and he wants to be back, but I still feel like another team is going to make a more significant offer to him, and the Dodgers probably won't be willing to match that. Just kind of my guessing here. So I'm not entirely sure about Buehler. I'm really confident in Teoscar and Kike, though, and I think they're going to add another starting pitcher as well.
Yeah. Jorge, I don't know what you're talking about. He's, spamming in chat about Roki being a done deal and stuff. I don't think you're just.
He has not been posted yet, so if it's a done deal, there's some under the table stuff going on that could probably get the Dodgers some hefty fines and fired. So no, it is not a done deal.
Yeah, there's still a lot of waiting that has to be done there. So let's just reports of Roki favorites. Yes, we know. All right, this is going to be the biggest segment. And I think, that's aside from other talk about a certain high profile outfielder, this is the biggest thing here. But according to, latest reporting, stuff we probably knew, but Jeff Passan of ESPN confirms that the Dodgers are aside from Roki Sasaki, the Dodgers are targeting at least one high-end starter. As far as who's on the tippy top, you can go break down each kind of contract tier. You have to take all that into account as far as prospect cost, contract cost. Chat, this is a segment Blake and I are going to chop it up about different options that we like. Some you might not even have thought about yet, and get into the weeds about somebody that we both agree on. Let's kick it off with Blake Snell. Blake, what do we like about Blake Snell, and why is he our number one target?
Yeah, Snell is my number one target because I think he's the best pitcher on the market right now. I know there's a lot of talk about Corbin Burnes being the top guy, and you could make a case for that, but I think there's a lot of numbers declining with him that concern me. His strikeout rate's been going down, his velocity's been going down. Just not necessarily the type of pitcher I'd want to pay, especially when you're going to consider the contracts of Burnes is probably going to get 7 years or somewhere around there. And Blake Snell is probably going to get 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 max. And I think Snell has elite stuff, like the best stuff on the market, probably of the top end starters. And he has been dominant for quite a while now. He's shown he can win a Cy Young award. He's shown he can step up in the big moments in the playoffs. He's dominated the Dodgers for a very long time. So never having to face him again would be pretty beneficial for the team. And I just think the contract and the talent, when the two are considered together, he's going to be the best fit.
I fully agree with you, man. And I know he's going into his age 32 season here. But with where a contract that lines up for Blake Snell, you have current projections for stuff like that pulled up here real quick to save me from having to look that up. Because, Chad, I want to remind everybody that before he signed with the Giants, the Dodgers were in the mix for Blake Snell. Blake, how close were the Dodgers to, getting that contract offer in? I think it might have been, pretty quick. It happened. It almost was a thing.
Yeah, the reports were they were getting ready to make him an offer, and then the Giants made their offer, and he accepted that. So they definitely had interest in him and wanted to bring him on board.
So I really think, from what that tells me is that, sure, they still believe in the player. It's polar opposite of what Blake Snell provided after missing a good part of his ramp up into the 2024 season. And what happened with Jordan Montgomery, who waited a good bit, same type of thing. Scott Boras' client in his career, or not his career, maybe his career, but his season blew up. He got a deal from Arizona, did not work out whatsoever. Got pulled from the rotation multiple times. So just Blake Snell, like his stuff. And we like his stuff better. We like his stuff, like, I think much better than what Max Fried provides. And that's a deal that you think that Max Fried's going to get more than Blake Snell, just
I
based
think
on age.
based on age and contract length, I think you'll end up getting more total. I think Snell comes in with the higher average annual value, which he's going to deserve. And I think the Dodgers would be more tempted to go short-term high AAV than a longer-term lower AAV. We've seen them do that in the past and make attempts to give other players those kind of contracts, even if they didn't always end up agreeing. But high AAV short-term deal with a high upside ace potential talent is exactly what the Dodgers love to try and do.
Yeah, and it just falls really in line with the kind of the timeline the Dodgers have. If chat, ask yourself this, and Kira, I don't know if a 1-year rental. I don't think Blake Snell ultimately did like a 1-year rental with the Giants. So I don't think anybody, those 1-year deals. He's at a point of his career where he's going to take the multi-year contract. He's going to get paid this time around. He's not betting on himself. Is not something he has to do. He did enough with the Giants to earn himself, that multi-year deal. And I think for everyone that has paused about Max Fried, about Corbin Burns, you don't want to go out and spend that. You don't want to trade for Garrett Crochet. I think that the answer lies in what Blake Snell can provide. I really do. And it's, again, and we get people in our chat talking about all the time, oh, you need a lefty in the starting rotation. Blake Snell provides that. He provides ace potential. He's done the stuff in the post. And I really think that, it's a real possibility. There is, Andrew Friedman, make it happen. That's somebody at the number 1 of our list. You want to bring up our diamond in the rough?
Sure. We can go with it.
Let's do it.
Scott are both pretty big fans of Nick Pivetta. He's not the top end starter per se, but he has the top stuff, like stuff plus number on the free agent market. Probably going to be a much cheaper contract than some of the top end starters. He's had some issues in Boston with run prevention. He hasn't had the best ERA or anything, but there's a lot of intriguing stuff there to work with. And it seems like he's going to go to a team that's going to use him well and utilize his abilities to their best potential, which is something the Dodgers do very well. And to me, the comparison that comes up, like in my mind, is Zach Wheeler with the Mets. He was kind of like a really good high-end stuff pitcher, but never put it all together. Then he went to the Phillies and they helped him break out and he became one of the top 5 pitchers in baseball. I don't think Pivetta is going to be a top 5 pitcher in baseball, but it's a similar track where I could see him going to a smarter team and them helping him really break out and become a top end starter for a much smaller contract than you're going to be paying someone like Max Fried, Corbin Burns, Blake Snell, etc. Like, I think there's a lot of upside there with Nick Pivetta, and there's a reason he turned down his qualifying offer, and he's going to get paid pretty well by a smart team, and I think they're going to be happy with it.
Yeah, and a lot of these, it's going to be the same contract projection we spoke prior to the stream about a lot of these guys. Klein, I see you in chat, man. I mean, it's about the peripherals. I know you say he's almost 32 and never figured it out. Yeah, intrigue. Absolutely, man. Like there's a ton. We've got stuff. You're going to see a lot of these guys getting like 4 years, 60. And that's kind of in line where Pivetta's at, 4 years, 60. And even the contract for Bueller, it was like 354. So if you're willing to pay someone like, with Bueller's stuff and a lot of unknown there, I think people should be willing to explore the options like, Sean Manaea, who had a really big time turnaround here, and Nick Pivetta, who in 6, he went 6 or more innings in 13 of his 27 outings. And is one that would, it didn't get registered as a start. He came in later in the game, pitched 6. We're talking about 19th best of starters who logged at least 140 innings, 19th in expected ERA, 6th in strikeout to walk rate. And he's the number 1 pitcher in Major League Baseball with a 133 stuff plus. So, fastball graded out very well. He's top 20 in fastball pitch value of qualified starters. So I think that's something to take note of. Throws that in the, around 94, 95. And he's a big sweeper guy. I know that's not something the Dodgers really like from starters, having a sweeper as one of your primary, options there. But it'd be a refreshing pitch to get in-house. And I know a lot of his issues came from throwing the cut fastball, and that's something that the Dodgers could just completely dip and get rid of. But his sweeper usage from 2023 to 2024 skyrocketed. And there's a reason why it was such a good pitch. And that's why, again, you see guys like Michael King have a primary sweeper and give hitters absolute fits. So I love that what Blake, I think Nick Pivetta is someone that if you're willing to get, sacrifice the draft pick for somebody, Nick Pivetta is kind of at the top of our boards there. Is he ahead of, Jack Flaherty for you?
Kind of a toss-up. Probably not because of the draft pick stuff. And Flaherty has the familiarity with the Dodgers already. They know him. We've seen Flaherty can be really good. But we also saw Flaherty at his worst, and that was pretty bad. And seemed like he did that quite a lot, where he'd have a really good game and then follow that with a terrible game. So I would be open to bringing Flaherty back, but if I'm picking one, I might flip the coin and go with Pivetta there if it landed on it. It's kind of a toss-up for me.
Yeah. So just the main thing of this, BC, we see Flaherty had a 7.36 ERA in the postseason. The main thing for this is that if you're uncomfortable handing out big money to a starting pitcher on the market right now, well, we know the reports are the Dodgers are searching for that high-end arm. It's about, okay, who's in that next year? And there's a lot of them in that 4 years, $60 million range, and kind of finding the one that has the best upside. Is it Sean Manaea for you? But he has the qualifying offer attached. Nick Pivetta, qualifying offer attached. But guys like Blake Snell, no qualifying offer attached. Max Fried, qualifying offer attached. So it's a matter of finding those guys there. It just all depends on what you like. Yeah, Scarlett says this right away. It's depending on, what his ask is. Jack Flaherty's a good option. It's always easier to just return to what's that. I'm sure they liked what they had there. Get him in-house. Again, bring the band back. I know it's a funny thing, but it's like you saw him, just like you said, Blake. You saw him when he was at his best. And when he was at his best, he was a very quality pitcher. He was able to go out there and provide you with very quality stuff, very quality innings. And it's just a matter of, and Scarlett follows it up again, that it's not a great free agent market. It just has a lot of question marks. You think there's a lot of name value, but with those names, there's some significant question marks. And who kind of, with Max Fried, Corbin Burns, what are those question marks with those guys?
Yeah, so I think that is a good point for me. I don't love any of the options. Blake Snell is my clear number one, but even he has concerns with his walk rate and he doesn't go deep into games. So, do you want to pay that kind of pitcher? With Max Fried, he doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. He's a great ground ball pitcher. He also has forearm troubles in the past. That would be concerning for me if you're giving him a multi-year deal. With Corbin Burns, you've seen his stuff declining in the past few years. The velocity has dropped. His movement has decreased. His strikeout numbers have come down a lot. So, is that a guy you want to pay long-term, 7-year, 200-something million? Mm-hmm. So I'm not, enamored with any of the free agents starting pitchers on the market like I was with Yamamoto in the past and other players that have been around. So for me, it's kind of find who the best value is and go with them, who you think is the best fit for your team. That's why we threw out Nick Pivetta as an option, because if you have concerns about giving Corbin Burns 7 years, 200 million, or Max Fried 7 years, 170 million, or whatever it's going to end up being, then you can get someone with upside like Nick Pivetta and say, well, it's only a 3-year deal for maybe 20 million a year. If it doesn't work out, it's much easier to live with than giving a big contract to someone that doesn't work out. So it's just about considering different options, finding out who has the best value lined up with them, and going from there, because there's no one on the market where it's you have to go pay this guy for sure.
So I think it's, and the name, like I said, the name value is certainly there. And it's just a matter of finding someone with the least red flags, someone who you can, you're comfortable paying. And of those names, you can follow it up. Who are you most comfortable paying out of those? Because if what Jeff Passan says, we're going to live, I want to go by it just because of clear need and, clearly what we know they would probably like to do. They added Jack Flaherty. They had a clear need in the starting rotation. We're going to take that for what it is. Of the names here, who are you most comfortable? Not somebody that you necessarily want just because of, upside and stuff like that. Who would you most be comfortable paying of these guys? Max Fried, Corbin Burns, Blake Snell. Where's it land for you? It's got to be Snell.
Yeah.
It's got to be Snell.
It's Snell for me. He doesn't have the qualifying offer attached to him, I believe, right? So
no qualifying offer.
Yeah, I mean, without that, with the shorter deal likely, with the stuff he has and the ability he's shown, he's been really good for quite a while now. I think he's the clear option. I know a lot of people like that he's left-handed. For me, I don't care a whole lot about that. I don't think you really need a lefty or righties in your rotation. You just got to get the best 6 or 7 guys that you can and put them together. The Dodgers just won a World Series without having a lefty, so I think a lot of that's kind of overblown, but he is like the top option for me, and I think it's by a pretty significant margin.
Yeah. And Chad, that was the main thing of this kind of exercise. It was like, we know the options are there. There's that number one tier, the big names, but also come with big time talent. You have a horse. You have the upside. You have the guys like Max Fried who have provided innings in the past. Upside stuff has kind of declined a bit. Same thing. Corbin Burns has provided the inning. He is one of those workhorse guys. But the concerns like Blake brought up about lack of strikeouts, that stuff coming down there. But he does provide the innings. He will go out there. And if he gets banged around a little bit in the early innings, you continue to run him out there because it's just that workhorse mentality. But the signs and how much he's going to cost. But as far as like Blake Snell, yes, he's got the walk issues, but he's got that high strikeout stuff, that potential where, you feel like he's at number one and he won't command that $200 million contract. It's just not going to happen. So from where we stand, if the Dodgers go after that number one starting pitcher, just kind of Blake and I with Blake Snell, and just, I would implore everyone to go take a look at the rest of that mid-tier option. Like there's a lot of different arms there. Nathan Eovaldi, Sean Manaea, Jack Flaherty, Shane Bieber's an interesting one we talked about bringing up about, via trade.
He's a free agent.
Free agent. Yeah, like Quintana, guys who had turnaround years or people that's kind of in that mid tier. If you're not all in.
Kikuchi also.
Kikuchi as well. I really like Yusei Kikuchi. He went to the Astros and he was electric. Like big strikeout guy, left side. So there's a ton of arms there. There will be 2 or 3 from that tier that signed those deals, and you're like, damn, that was a bargain. It's the same Sonny Gray mold. He signed with the Cardinals, and that was a contract that you and I both chatted about last offseason about someone that, we could want to be bringing in-house here. Chat, do us a favor. I think I would like to get everybody's input, kind of, your number one options there. And if you have the concerns, if it's your number one, who's your number one most surefire starter that you want to bring in-house, and let me know your arm with the biggest concern. And then we'll go from there. And that's kind of the exercise I want to put on you. I want another one of my cases of I want to see something. But do us a favor. We're going to roll right into some questions here. Short show tonight, but there's not much else to chat about. There's, this movement period for the off season. There's not much new. And we don't need to regurgitate stuff with Sasaki. It's all going to be, we really don't know anything until we know it. So that's why if I see someone spamming in chat about they know stuff about Sasaki, get banned. Enjoy the void, buddy. Yeah. What are you smiling about?
Brandon in here saying not Blake Snell.
Not Blake Snell. Man. All right. Everybody chat, do us a favor, all caps question, follow it up with whatever you want to put, however you want this conversation to go here. But I'm seeing, some Bueller. Yeah. Klein says stay away from Max Fried. Too many arm issues. I think I agree with that too. I really do. I don't want to hand out big money to someone who's had clear arm issues. And then we got to see it in the postseason right away. And I know that's immediate stuff and you can look past some of those things, but that just doesn't jive with me. I'm good. I don't want to do that. That's made me sound really old, didn't it? It doesn't jive with me.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn. I'm old.
I do agree with that though. I wouldn't want to pay Fried with, he doesn't have top end stuff combined with his arm issues that he's had in the past. Like that just screams disaster of a contract. And I know he's been really good for a long time and he is a ground ball pitcher. So you don't necessarily need the strikeout stuff as much, but I'm just not really a fan of paying those types of pitchers.
Yeah. And we know like he was hanging out with the Dodgers after they won the World Series and partying and all that. And like the hometown vibes, everything here. They're not handing out $100 million, $150 million just because they're not doing that. They're not doing that. Now, if they bring in Adames because he's good friends with Mookie Betts, then we're talking. But we're not going to get into that tonight.
We
Chat,
can
you've
give
heard
it to
enough.
Willie Adames.
We can always.
I
give it to
want Willie
Adames.
Adames.
If I get one super chat, if I get one like $5 or $10 super chat about Willie Adames, everybody in here clear the next 15 minutes of your time. For sure. Scarecrow said,
Here it is. The Willie Adames question right here.
Nope, it's got to be. No, it has to be. I promise we wouldn't do this tonight. I promise. There's been some segments lately that I know people have just been like checking their watch, like, oh my God. Scarecrow, lots of prep went into the show and it shows. Appreciate it. No doubt. I mean, the stuff that Blake and I like to, go back and forth about, the things that we like to highlight. And it's not even just about like surface level numbers. Like there's stuff that we can talk about ERA, expected ERA. We can talk about just like arm issues and longevity and workload and the stuff the Dodgers like to bring in house. Like, of course, on Pavetta, it'd be terrific to bring him in. It'd be great because the upside we could see there, but the Dodgers don't really have starters that have been sweeper profile guys. So that's why it's a long shot, but it's an interesting take. So Scarecrow, thank you so much. And Blake appreciates this a bunch because Blake brings the vibes, a lot of the stuff, but when he looks up stuff on the fly, he knows exactly what to look for to reinforce arguments and, own me. That's what he does. So we appreciate you. Thank you for that one. Let's see. Let's just
throw this up real quick because I thought it was funny.
Blake wants Blake Snell starting, Blake Trinan closing. He's sick. That'd be dope.
I think that'd be a pretty good outcome for the Dodgers.
You see Blake Trinan leaving in free agency, man?
No. I've seen a lot of like analysts and stuff giving him to a different team and all that. I don't think there's a chance.
Do you see him going to do you see the one where it was like a projection of him to go to the Phillies?
I did. I just don't see it happening. I don't. I think there's like a 99.9% chance he will be coming back to the Dodgers. I would bet a lot on
wins
that.
With that one.
Yeah, I mean, they got the White House trip coming up too. He's not passing that up.
He's staying. There's just he's sticking around. Yeah. Pin Sandy says sounds like Phillies fans just dreaming. Yeah, no doubt. All right. Let's see. This is a good one. Jay Teaser says, have you given up on Bobby Miller?
I have not. I am still high on Bobby Miller. The stuff is there. It was a bad year for him. I think getting the offseason to reset and get back on track is going to be good for him. I think he just needs to mature as a pitcher, figure out what went wrong. There's like mechanical stuff he can tweak, and he dealt with some injury stuff throughout the year. So I'm not giving up on him at all. I wouldn't like bet on him getting back on track and putting my entire season like around him becoming an ace again. But I definitely think he can be part of their plans in the long term and possibly even again this year.
All I'll say is I haven't given up on Bobby Miller, but he made me look like a fool because that early season start against the Cubs, that first inning, I think I tweeted out, man, Bobby Miller's got something cooking, and then he didn't cook. What'd he cook? Yeah. Cooked nothing.
It was kind of all downhill from that.
He cooked nothing. That was crazy. Yeah.
Was it the Cardinals or?
It was the Cubs. It was in Wrigley. Yep. Never forget hitting send on that one and watching it crumble before my eyes. I felt my heart start to burn on that one, Blake. Rich, are the Dodgers better off trading for arms and clearing out some 40-man roster space?
I think they have a lot of flexibility to kind of do whatever they want with their trades. Like they could go do the type of trade they did with Michael Busch, where they got Zaire Hope and Jackson Ferris back, two prospects that aren't going to be on the 40-man. I think you could see them package some players and maybe get a center fielder. I don't have any names off the top of my head, but that is something they need, or even a shortstop. Still don't have names off the top of my head there, but they could go get Garrett Crochet and fill their top end starter need that way. So they have options, and I think they're going to be active making trades, but I don't think they're locked into needing to make any one specific trade where you need to go get a center fielder or a shortstop or a starting pitcher, because there's also really good free agent options you can go get.
Answer me this, because we haven't chatted about it yet. I tuned in to the show with Jeff and Anthony a little bit, and chat, you're very involved in this as well. As a matter of trading away prospects for controllable arms, say like, Garrett Crochet is the most obvious one, or you can look around and there might be some other names we haven't really dove into yet. But as far as like trading prospects away for Garrett Crochet and for cost controlled contracts there, Where are you at on doing that as opposed to getting into this free agent market and just dishing out some cash? I know it sounds so easy, and dishing out like 100+ million or maybe, 50, 60. Where are you at on that side of the conversation?
I usually lean toward just go pay a player instead of making a trade for a player, because if it doesn't work out or something else changes down the line, then you still have the prospects to go make a trade.
Mm-hmm.
Money is also easier for the Dodgers to get than more high-end prospects, and I know like the Dodgers have been really good at developing prospects, but they are also very good at making money. They're a money-making machine right now with Ohtani and everything else they do. So just go sign the player, keep your prospects, and figure it out from there.
Yeah. And I see people in chat talking a lot about, still on the Bobby Miller train, and not getting away from that. And I don't foresee anybody worrying about, are they going to trade Bobby Miller? No. Value's at an all-time low. They're going to keep him in house, figure it out, and we do believe he'll be fine. Like they'll unlock something there. If it doesn't, then his career went south at the beginning of, very early on in his career, early on in the 2024 season. But I don't see it. I don't see that being the case. I think there's enough in there. He's got the fight. He's got the tenacity to stay on the mound there. And I saw people bring it up. He's got some Bueller in him. We haven't seen that yet. We just frankly haven't. So don't get too far there. It's just a matter of the stuff. And people saying it just, he needs some time. It just needs some time. So just give him some time there. It's just unfortunate that there was a need in 2024 for arms and innings. And there's a lot of those starts where it was like, you just have to go out there and try to give him something. Even though there wasn't going to be a flip that was going to, like a switch that was going to get flipped and he was going to be dominant again. They just needed to fill some innings. So it probably wasn't the prettiest thing to do, but they just had to find some stuff here. All right. Chat real quick. Let's see what we got. Let's see. Scooter Booter, what do you think Snell's contract looks like, since I feel it's more friendly than Burns? Well, people keep chatting that he's a Boris guy. But again, you can't just completely avoid Boris guys. If you would like to, that's just a personal thing against Scott Boras. But he represents some very talented players. So what does a contract for Blake Snell look like that would make Blake Williams feel comfortable bringing him in-house with the big pocket Los Angeles Dodgers?
The Fangraphs projections are 3 to 4 years at an AAV of 30 to 35 million, and I'd be fine with that. Like if you could get him for 3 years at 35 million a year, totally on board with that. I think the Dodgers would be all over that as well. Even if you had to extend it out to 4 years at 30 million a year, that's still 120 million. I think that's a fine contract for a top of the rotation starter. And it would give them a really, really, really good rotation, stuff-wise and talent-wise, and just everything. Like Ohtani, Yamamoto, Glasnow, Snell is your top 4. That's just crazy. And possibly Sasaki adding in there. We'll see. Then you got options like Bobby Miller, Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin, Kershaw coming back, maybe Bueller, although my unpopular take is I don't want Bueller back. So, yeah.
Just for the contract.
For Bueller?
Yes.
Yes and no. I think the contract will play into it, but I think there's better options you could go sign.
Sure. Vibes based? No, absolutely not. But as far as just stuff projecting, but yeah, I saw Brandon toss it in here. What did he say? Real quick, I want to put it up. Yep, 4 for 130 for Snell wouldn't be bad. No, and I see Spot. That might be a project, not a light one, but Spot Track has some 5 years, 131, so it's like a little over 26 million a year. But again, he's going into his age 32 season. You're going to have to pay for those back end years sometimes if you want to bring him in. And I think I kind of lean in on that a little bit. But if just the value is crammed into 4, that's pitching, man. That's pitching right now. You're paying for these arms. It's just how it is. There's a need for starting pitching around Major League Baseball. The Dodgers desperately needed them. So as if you're going to try to get somebody in here that's, top end ace level, you're going to have to pay. Or take a gamble on a mid-tier arm and then see what works out. One of those 4 for 60 guys.
I've made the chat mad.
Me or you did?
Me, saying I don't think they should re-sign Bueller.
Yeah, that's why we're not getting into it. I told you that's why we're not getting into this stuff. Right before you chat, just so you know, right before we hopped on, I said, Blake, there's like 3 or 4 things that we're not getting into tonight. And he can't help himself. He's giggling over there. We're just not doing it. We're just not doing it. I got your back, chat. Don't worry.
If his name was Blake Buehler, yeah, sign him. Keep him long term.
He would sign him to the
Ohtani
Ohtani.
$300 million. Don't care.
Yeah.
But for real, quickly, like there's a lot of underlying concerns I have with him. I think the playoffs, he got pretty lucky. His batting average on balls in play was around 250. Strikeout stuff isn't great still. Like, I just think you can do better. And it's a lot of more nostalgia, vibes based of a want that fans have than like putting on an actual GM hat and saying, is this the best thing we can do for our team?
Understandable concerns. Understandable. Don't get on him, guys. Like, it really is. Like, we know what we saw with Walker Buehler. We've all talked about how, I mean, I've talked about it, about how I saw enough intriguing stuff with Walker Buehler to want him back in, and how afraid I am that he's going to go to Cleveland, he's going to go to Milwaukee, or he's going to go to Tampa, and they're going to unlock that next step of Walker Buehler. Yeah. He says, Admin says, Scotty, let Blake have it. Don't go soft. 21 in October legend. Yeah, absolutely.
I agree, but like, are we paying because he's an October legend in the past, or are they paying because he's going to be a great option moving forward? And I'm not
going to bring the not my money thing, because it's that's not a thing I want to bring up, because that's aside from it. But I think there's enough intrigue for me to do it, Blake. Like, there is. I don't know if it's like what Kylie McDaniel put out, that it was like 3 years, $54 million, but I would do a 1-on-1 deal. I would do it. I would pay him.
I would do 1 year, but that's where I think he's not going to get that. I think another team's going to offer 3 years with an opt-out or something like that, and then he ends up leaving. And I would really not want the Dodgers giving him 3 year, 50, 60 million, whatever it's going to end up being.
Do you think that Buehler goes out, collects the offers from other teams, and he goes back to the Dodgers and says, this is what I'm presented with? Can you come close to this?
I think he'll do that, yeah. But again, I think the Dodgers are going to say, like, that's probably a better offer for you. You should go take it. I think they would have given him the qualifying offer if they weren't kind of thinking that way. They didn't want to like prevent his market. They want him to go see his best offers and deals and all that. If they were willing to pay him 120, 130, like, just go with that and give him that. But
sure,
I don't know. I see him getting paid more than the Dodgers should end up paying him.
Yeah. I see people talking about that. You're also paying for Blake Snell's past. Blake Snell's been a dog. Blake Snell's been good, man.
They're in very different situations here. Like,
yeah.
2 months ago, Buehler was saying he thought he was going to be cut from the Dodgers.
Yep.
And Blake Snell has been a top 5 pitcher in baseball for 3 or 4 years now. Like, it's not comparable situations.
Chris, how you doing, buddy? I hope you're doing well, man. Chris is the GOAT. If you don't know about it, he's one of the best sports photographers in the biz. So shout out to Chris here. Dodger Blue is not. Maybe admin is turning on Blake, but we're not turning on Blake.
We're here to have these conversations. If we all just agree all the time, it wouldn't be fun.
That's why we're here, no doubt. Yeah, that's why Blake and I get along with this stuff. Chill out, admin. Relax.
He wants to answer the Life Day question. We'll save that for last. Okay. He asked about the holidays that I'm celebrating.
I like this one here. Hep brings it up. Do you guys see? You guys see the loser Paul Sewald trying to get himself to LA? I did. He was on Foul Territory talking about how, he doesn't care if I'm pitching in the 8th inning in Los Angeles or with the Dodgers, or they were closing out somewhere else. The Dodgers are a destination now, Blake. It's out. Cat's out of the bag. You like that one, cat guy?
Yeah, it's good.
Cat's out of the bag. Everybody
Freddie
wants
Freeman's
to be a
cat guy now too. So
Freddie Freeman, yeah. Everybody wants to be a Los Angeles Dodger. Careers revived. Careers turn around. Paul Sewald begging. He's on his knees. You want Paul Sewald with the Dodgers? Would you be okay with it?
If it was like a 1-year deal for $5 million or something, sure. There's still some intriguing traits there. Like, if you're replacing him in the Daniel Hudson role kind of thing, like, sure, whatever. But he's not like my top choice or anything.
No way. Yeah, no, absolutely not. I'll do that. I don't want that. But he's closed out games, like big time games in the post for the Diamondbacks when he went there. He was good when he was with the Mariners. So, yeah, there's some stuff there. As long as he's not closing out games for the Dodgers, and that's Blake Trinan. Cool with that. Michael Kopech, get a good mix in there. But that Daniel Hudson role was pivotal. But Paul Sewald can fill it out. Sure, bring him in. EB says, who's Paul Sewald? Former reliever for the Diamondbacks. Completely fell off at the back end of the year. Just kind of ran into a wall. Michael, how about trading for Sandy Alcantara? Tommy John guy. Another one of these intriguing cases. Has been a workhorse at one point of his career. A couple of years ago, probably the biggest. Might have absolutely led to his injury for sure. Sandy Alcantara. The Marlins probably are going to see what they have in him and then move him anyways in 2025. They might even do it now. Would you be in favor of that? Or you kind of want to see what you're looking at with Sandy when he touches the mound again, right?
I mean, if it was cheap enough cost to get him, I'd go do it. I don't think the Marlins are going to want to sell that cheap considering he was an ace like a year or two ago, whatever it was at this point. I just don't see any upside for them to do that. Considering what you'd get for him now and what you might be able to get for him in the future if he proves he can be good again, it's just not really worth it for the Marlins to trade him. So I don't really see it happening at this point. And yeah.
Man. All right. Sign stealing. I like this. Sign stealing scandal. Great name. When was the last time LA traded an actual prize prospect that turned into anything?
First one that came to mind was Frankie Montes in the Rich Hill trade in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a bit. I mean, Josiah Gray looked intriguing before he started to get hurt and fell off a bit. A lot of people are saying Yordan, but he wasn't a prize prospect at the time. So I guess that kind of like takes him out of this question. He was more of a throw-in at the time.
Yep. Oh my God. Ray brought up Pedro Martinez. Before our time, before Blake's time. He wasn't even born yet.
Michael Busch looks like a good player, but they got a quality return for him back. So like
Zahir Hope and Jackson Ferris.
Yeah, so you're not really like regretting that one too much. And even if he does turn into something, I think it'll be fine. Yeah. I mean, most prospects don't work out to begin with. That's what we have to remember here. So, yeah.
People saying Keeper Ruiz?
I don't think he was very good this year, was he?
I think he's been pretty mid, man. I know the Nationals immediately gave him a contract, extended him. He was pretty not so good.
He was like Austin Barnes level this year. 71 weighted runs created plus and a negative WAR as their starting catcher.
Eovaldi? Yeah. Amanda Z brings up Eovaldi. I mean, that wasn't their prospect. They got him from the Marlins, right?
No, they traded him. Guy. They traded him for Hanley.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
It's been a bit.
W Amanda. There we go. Love it. Good pull.
O'Neal Cruz, I saw someone throw out. He was not super prized at the time, and I don't think he's all that good right now anyways, so I don't really care about O'Neal Cruz. I mean, yeah,
I don't care. Toolsy guy, really hyper athletic, just got pushed to the outfield, so we'll see how that goes out. Joseph Garcia says, just joining in. What do you think about the new branding for the OKC Comets? What are your takes? I mean, anything to pay respect to the Mickey Mantle. Commerce Comet, Blake. Thoughts on that?
I like it. I like their jerseys and everything. I think it's cool. It's much better than Oklahoma City Baseball Club right there. So yeah, even though that's their Star Wars one. So that one's cool. But
whose jersey is that again?
That is Landon Knack's. It's signed and game used.
Man, we love Landon Knack, man. But yeah, shout out to the Mick. Brandon, shout out to you, man. Anything, yeah, even at the stadium, like they have a lot of stuff commemorating Mickey Mantle. So it's kind of like a match made in heaven there. Oklahoma City Baseball Club wasn't working out for me. wasn't working out for me too much. So headed in the right direction there. Excited for that. Excited to see the color scheme, jerseys, how everything turns out there. Let's see. John, do you think the Dodgers can sign both Teoscar and Anthony Santander? I don't think a lot of teams want Anthony Santander. Like, he'll be a name that's out there, but I would prefer not to sign Santander. And he says, Scott, I missed your take on Willy Adames. Here we go. You did it. You did it, John. Thanks. Blake, answer the first part, and then we can both chime in on the Willy Adames.
I don't think that they could sign both. I don't think they're going to. I think they'd leave a spot open for Andy Pajes and Dalton Rushing to mix in one of their corner spots. So if you get Teoscar or Juan Soto, I think that's all they kind of do in the outfield unless they end up needing a center fielder because their plan is for Tommy Edman at shortstop. But that can be easily fixed by keeping Tommy in center and getting Willy Adames.
Willy Adames. So it's a very controversial thing here. And it's getting to the point where people are so anti-Willy Adames that they want Ha-Seong Kim in. But with Willy Adames, it's more about addressing a position that they're not, like, there's nobody. There's nobody on the free agent market until Gunnar Henderson is, I think it's 2028, right? Like, I think it's that far out at 2028 for Gunnar Henderson. And then everybody else is nothing. I do not want Bo Bichette. I can't stand it. Like, I just don't want to be doing it. I'm not a believer in what Bo Bichette has. I think it's just ridiculous. Like, I know Jeff likes Bo Bichette a lot, but I just think he's a very underwhelming player. Had such a down year. His offensive profile, I'm just not a fan of. Willy Adames, like, I know he had a down year defensively. Hef says Scott he's a stopgap 2029 for Gunnar. Yeah, no doubt. But I know Adames had a down year defensively this past year. But the 2 years prior, he was elite. And even then, even with his UZR 150 being bad this past season, he still graded out as a plus defender. And we all know, like, he had a great year offensively. I think he had a career high in homers. So we know the slug's going to be there and pushes Tommy Edman to center field. I think a position swapper, provides him with that versatility that I feel more comfortable with. I like him in the outfield there. And it fills another spot that you don't have to worry about going to get another outfielder. So if they don't do it, I'm not heartbroken about it. I'm just warning everybody. The free agent market for shortstops is not very good after Willy Adames this year. And we see how it is with other guys like Trey Turner, Xander Bogaerts, those all guys who, those contracts are looking like real bad stuff. And Adames is going to cost that. So it's a contract that I think you can live with and they'd be okay with, but I'm not going to be heartbroken if they don't. I'm just imploring everyone to look at the options after this and then go from there. And then tell me if you're comfortable with it. If you want just 1 year stopgaps until later on down the road, who are you filling it in? Rich, guys, everybody chanting, like, putting that stuff about Soto, chill out. But yeah, John, thanks for that. Thanks for that one. Somebody had to do it. All right. Frank says, if Edman isn't in center field, Blake, then who? Who plays center field?
That's the big question, isn't it, here? And that's why we both kind of want Willy Adames, because it allows them to put Tommy Edman in center field, and he is the best option available. I know someone asked about Ha-Seong Kim as an option. I wouldn't mind it if it's like a 1 year deal for $15 million or something. I don't think I'm going much more than that. So I think it's easier for them to get a shortstop right now and keep Edman in center field. There's not many good center fielders available. I think Harrison Bader might be the best one on the free agent market. So yeah, I don't want Andy Pajes there for a full year. Unless they're getting crazy and going with Juan Soto and Teoscar in the corner, then sure, whatever. I don't care. Let him go hit 90 to 100 homers combined. I don't care about defense at that point, but that's not realistically happening. So go get me Adames, keep Edman in center, because I don't think there's another better option for center field than him.
Yeah. People complaining about the free agent market. Yep, concerns are valid, but I just look ahead. Teams are locking up players there. Teams are locking up quality big leaguers. That's what's happening. Everybody. Teams are doing their best to not allow these players to hit free agency. That's just what they're doing. They're betting on the player early. Sometimes it's burning them, but what they're doing is they're getting them on these deals. So my biggest thing with Willy Adames is it puts Tommy Edman to center field. It opens them up to move around the field, the outfield, however they want to do it. Mookie Betts, if there's a certain scenario, that's why I'm so big on sign Teoscar. If the Willy Adames stuff lines up, explore it. If that's what you feel is the best, go ahead. I think it's an AAV that you'd feel comfortable with for the time that he's there. And everybody had issues with Teoscar Hernandez's offense, like his bat to ball. Didn't have an issue with going ahead. Mike says, have you guys forgot about Outman? Nope, didn't forget about him. I'm not an Outman guy. Nope. No center fielder for me. So yeah, Blake, there's just nobody. It's got to be Tommy Edman. Slot him out there. Set it and forget it. Get Willy Adames.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Couple more here. Chat, bring us some heat. If you have anything, again, toss it super chat. We'll get to it before we log off for the night. But again, sit tight. This is one of those bridge weeks where not much is breaking. We're kind of just reacting and relying and chatting on rumors and just stuff getting floated around and regurgitating that. But we didn't want to do that tonight. That's been a lot. Somebody says, isn't it time to platoon Muncy? Yohan Moncada would be an affordable option, and he can hit lefties here. What's your problem with that mainly?
If they end up platooning Muncy, it's going to be with Kike. I don't think they're going to go out and get Moncada. Could be Chris Taylor mixing in as well. I don't think they're going to be able to trade him unless they're eating a ton of money and giving a prospect back. Like, I'm trying to pull up Moncada splits. I know he didn't have a great year this year, but he was far better versus righties than he was versus lefties. And in his career, he also has a higher average versus righties. Yeah, he's been worse versus lefties throughout his career, so that doesn't make sense as a platoon with Muncy.
Yeah. It's just bringing in another guy who can play multiple positions, and when you already have that in-house, it's like sliding one for one who you're hoping does well against a certain, handedness, right? And I think that's just moving Chris Taylor away to get Yohan Moncada. I know it probably be is a plus move, but it's just a matter of, you'd have be having, Moncada. You'd have to figure out what to do with Taylor. It's an interesting, thought, Norm. It's just something I don't think they'll do. They'll live with Max Muncy, going against lefties here. Are you on the train of approaching time for Max Muncy to get platooned, or you're still both sides until the wheels are just falling off?
I'd platoon him like half the time, and that'll probably be with Kike. Or I think it's a lock. Kike's coming back, so I don't think they're going to be looking in the backup infield market. So that's what I'd end up doing. I think Muncy is kind of a lock to be mostly their everyday starter.
We didn't even, bring up, chat reminded me of this, Kike Hernandez in center field. That's someone, are you okay doing that part-time?
I mean,
have to be.
I still think he's best in there. Move him around, play him at second, third, short, left, center, right, first. Like, just, he's best in the utility role. I wouldn't want to lock him into any one spot.
Sure.
And I generally don't think he's a starting caliber player anymore to begin with. So, yeah, I mean, Willy Adames and Tommy Edman is the way.
Can we real quick bring it up about, Norm, thanks. I'm going to pull this down here real quick again, chat. I think we're just going to a couple more there. But as far as like left field, let's operate under the assumption that Teoscar Hernandez is brought back, right? In your other corner outfield spot, now we're getting into the names of like Andy Pages. I know people, James Outman, I just don't see it. But as far as like Dalton Rushing, where, some intrigue there. Shifted to to left field later in the year in AAA. He rose through the minors here. Where are you at with Dalton Rushing? Is he a name that people should take note of, leading into spring training? Where is that at the early parts of the season? Is that someone who can break camp with the big club in a platoon role there for left field?
Yeah, I think the plan is for them to utilize both Pages and Rushing in the outfield. You could even mix in Rushing to backup catcher at some points and move Pages to center occasionally, or give Teo a day off if you need to. But I think both of Rushing and Pages are in their plans for the corner outfield, whether it's the straight up platoon or anything else, how they decide to mix and match. But I think you're looking at adding one corner outfielder and one shortstop / center fielder, depending on who they get, and plug in Tommy Edman to the other spot, and then Pajes and Rushing have the other spot.
Set it and forget it. Easy road. Chat, we did this at the deadline. Blake and I did this at the deadline. So we're aligned in that. That's kind of our plan. Amanda says, how good is his defense in left field now? Well, it was good enough for him to be all right. Like, I think there's enough. It's a matter of, there's a lot of guys in Major League Baseball who are rough defensively, but they still stick him out there. He's all right defensively, correct?
I mean, can't be worse than Teoscar was, so.
Yeah. Does he have a cannon, though? We'll see. We don't know about that yet.
He's a catcher.
There you go.
Probably does.
See, so there's upside there, Amanda. Yeah, there is upside there. All right, chat. Outside of anything else, Rich, he says this real quick. I didn't see you star this one. He says, what other shortstop options are there, including in a trade? So in a trade, what are the other shortstop options out there? I'm not sure. I didn't pull that up here.
Looking, and not many. Like Miguel Rojas is probably your best option if you don't get anyone else. Like, it's the top guys aren't getting traded, and the mid-tier guys, like, you don't really want, or you're looking at like Zach Nato, who isn't getting traded, Anthony Volpe not getting traded, Ezekiel Tovar, Mason Wynn not getting traded. Like, pretty much every team has their shortstop, or they don't have a shortstop, like, at all, even slightly. So that's why we both want Willy Adames. He's the clear top option available. He's probably a top 5 shortstop in baseball, maybe top 7 if we want to go conservative about it. And you just sign him for the next 5 or 6 years and forget about the position.
Yep, and that's why I'm going to do it, guys. Like, 2026, Bo Bichette, Luis Rengifo, Willie Castro, and then you have Miguel Rojas here. J.P. Crawford, David Fletcher, Kevin Newman, 2027, 2028, Javier Baez, Geraldo Perdomo, Jeremy Pena, Taylor Walls. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. So if you're good with stopgaps, and then I see people bringing up Freeland.
He was pretty bad in AAA last year for his cup of coffee there.
Yeah.
He played 40 games there with an 85 weighted runs created plus. He was solid in AA, but he's a guy who's probably a year out still at best. And if you sign Adames, then you have Freeland as an option for second, third, trade bait if he pans out. Like, I don't think Freeland is the type of prospect to stop you from going to get a top 10 shortstop in baseball.
Yep. That's where we're at. That's it. I know people have concerns with stuff like that, but as far as power profile, his best, when he's at his best self, very quality defensive shortstop as well. There's not much out there. And the Dodgers don't have an option in-house, on the horizon that we can, project yet. That's it. All right. Again, everybody, do us a favor, like, subscribe, ring that notification bell.
Matt,
what else you got?
Matt is going to get mad if we don't answer this one. So yeah, the fake holiday on the wrong days. Well, Life Day is an official Star Wars holiday that is celebrated at Disneyland and by fans. I went on the 12th because that is the observed day that they do it during the week for people who can't make it on the Sunday. So I did go to that one, and I'll be back there again on Sunday to celebrate for the official holiday. But yeah, Life Day, real holiday for Star Wars fans.
W. Blake.
That's just a hater.
W. Blake. Look, Blake.
There we go.
That's it. I'm not trying to force feed it on anybody. I'm just telling everyone, look at the options that are out there, and this might be your shot. If you didn't want to just dive headfirst into like what Trey Turner got, Xander Bogaerts, I'm with you. I didn't want to do it either. But as far as like your last stop before hopefully the Orioles aren't able to re-sign Gunnar, that's all you got. That's all you got. That's all you got. That's it. Let's do it. Willy Adames, 2025. All right. Again, everybody, my name is Scott Geirman, senior writer, Dodger Blue. I'm here with Blake Williams. Blake, walk us off, man. How was tonight? How was the show for you?
I think it was pretty good. I still have a bit of a lingering cough that I was trying to like cover and hold up, get through. So made it tough at points, but getting better. And I think we had a good show. I think a lot of people enjoyed it.
Great show. Yeah. Chat, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being active in the chat. We wanted to bring a different feel for it. A lot more conversation, a couple exercises. Thank you for being active in there, providing, some terrific input, some stuff there, breaking down some pitching options and giving the flowers to, Mookie Betts, Teoscar Hernandez, and Shohei Ohtani, just for a terrific first season with the franchise. And we'll say it again. Thanks for tuning in to, World Series champion 2024 Los Angeles Dodgers. We will see you soon. Blake and I will be back here next Thursday outside of any crazy breaking news. We appreciate you all. Just like, subscribe, ring that notification bell. We'll see you soon. And as always, go Dodgers.